Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of Spellstorm Miniatures. My name is Jeremiah.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Chad.
And we have a fun topic that we're going to cover today, and it's going to include an invitation for anyone in our area to join us in a campaign of a brand new game that was just released last month. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. First, I want to hear from you guys. Have you played any games lately?
Well, the game of real life has been working me. So work and family, that's been my game mode.
Yeah, you've been rolling sixes or you've been rolling ones?
I think it's been average.
So threes for you, right?
That's exactly. No crit successes, no crit fails, but
Right on.
Well, it's been a while since I think I was on an episode. But I got to play a couple of games of Riot Quest a few weeks ago. That was a lot of fun with Ryan Montgomery and Richard was playing with one of them, and I think Matt Schneider was playing in the other one. We played 3 different games. We just did Adventuring Party, which is you get to play, you have one of each different class. So 6 characters, and then you get 6 Riot gear. It was a lot of fun. We were playing on, I think it was the Castle of the Dark Prince. Nice. Matt? No, I'm sorry. We were playing on Hull Grinder, the pirate ship one, which I hadn't played on before. So that was a lot of fun. It was super interesting. Nice. I of course had to play a couple of my boys from Circle, Wolf with No Name. I think I played Scythe, Chuck Dogwood, and I actually used is it Blockhouse? Not Blockhouse. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting what the Cawdor dude's name is.
Blockhouse is a totally different thing.
Yeah. Blockhouse is the Brickhouse is the Jack. Blockhouse is the Signar trencher unit. Yeah, totally great radio right here. I don't remember the name of everyone that was in my crew, but it was a lot of fun. And then last weekend I got to play my first game of Age of Sigmar using some Daughters of Cain. Nice. And I feel like I could have done a little bit better if I had just been a little bit more familiar with some of the command traits that you can use. I wasn't really paying attention to them. And I also deployed a little bit wrong, where I should have put one of my bigger units to square off against Ryan Montgomery's larger unit of orcs, and he ended up winning by scenario because he just had more dudes on the table and I just couldn't kill enough of them. He got super lucky playing some of those new orcs. Their passive ability is every time you roll a 6 to hit, it's an automatic mortal wound. And there were 3 different times where he was rolling attacks, at least 10 or 15 attacks, and he got at least 4 6s in his attack rolls, which were 4 automatic mortal wounds. So it was pretty crazy. He started chewing through my Daughters of Cain pretty fast.
Yeah.
But
do your Daughters of Cain have any defenses against mortal wounds?
No, I don't think there's very many defenses against mortal wounds at all, unless you are some sort of very special character. But these were just like, we started a Path to Glory campaign, so last week was the first week.
Nice.
And so these were just base Sisters of Slaughter, and they didn't fare super great, but still a lot more to learn. It was the first time putting the army on the table, and there's a lot of little things to pay attention to. So
nice. Yeah, when I was playing Nurgle, if I remember right, I think I had one guy or something that had the ability to do something against mortal wounds, and to Ozzy's chagrin, of course. But
yeah,
yeah, cool, right on. Yeah, I love Age of Sigmar. I haven't put any any models on the table since third edition dropped yet. So I'm looking forward to doing that sometime soon. Yeah. I got a new game in. Do you guys remember one of our recent episodes? We talked about the process we go through and trying to evaluate and determine whether or not we're going to pick up a new game.
Yep.
One of the games that's kind of been on my list for a couple of years is Dust 1947. Some of our listeners may be familiar with Dust Tactics, and I think there's another version of Dust as well outside of Dust Tactics. The current iteration is called Dust 1947, and the way that it is played is it's played on fairly large grids, and it's a small map in general, and instead of small boxes, they're fairly large boxes, large enough that you can fit 6, 7, 8 individual models in and still be within completely within the square. And it uses 2D and 3D terrain, and so the starter comes with 2D terrain, but they will sell 3D terrain that can sit right on top of that terrain, or just be in place of. And I got into it because I reconnected with an old friend, and he and I have played a number of games over the years, and it was something that he was interested in as well. And so we each picked up one starter box, and then we played against each other that starter. And it was hands down the single greatest out of the box experience I've ever had with a miniature game. It was, first of all, the models are pre-assembled and primed, and so you can literally start painting them right away. The playmat that you get is a neoprene playmat. You don't get a paper or cardboard mat. You get a neoprene mouse pad style, and your opponent gets one, and you put them together, and that's how you get the full playmat. So you actually only get half of it in your starter, but that's okay. And you get a number of 2D terrain, like I mentioned, and all the tokens, and it's really easy to play right out of the box. Both of us had a walker of some sort. Both of us had a unit, and both of us had a hero, like a character. And there was a moment in the game where I thought I had him. I had an idea, and I was going to pop out from hiding behind a structure, and I was going to eat his walker alive, except he chose not to advance. And had he advanced at least one square, he would have been within range, and I would have just eaten him. But he was running the independent Japanese nations, and so a bunch of their units have like this, like for War Machine players, a version of stealth. So I had to get real close to be able to, get them. But my guys had for Warhammer players a bunch of Feel No Pain stuff. So we each had our thing that we did. It's just his thing was better than my thing in that game. So, but I think it's a game that we'll probably play a little bit more. Dust 1947 basically takes World War II and kind of flips it on its head. It adds aliens, it adds the Cthulhu mythos, and in this storyline, I believe Hitler does die, so Hitler is dead, but then all of humanity is trying to unite against the aliens, and so they end up forming factions based on those diplomatic relations, which fall under very similar to the factions of World War II. So it's something I would call historical adjacent. So it's it's not quite historical, but
looks like they steampunk it up a little bit too, with some, like you said, a little bit more high-techy walkers and stuff like that, which actually looking at it kind of cool.
Oh, Dan, the walkers are amazing. They are fabulous.
Yeah, and it looks like you can even buy their elite ones that are like pre-painted to studio spec. So even if you can straight up buy it from them ready to go.
I was not aware of that. So no, I was very, very pleased. The starter box was a little bit more than some starters that I paid for before, but for like single faction starters, but it was less than what like 2 faction starters would be. So it was like $72 or something. But and it gets about 1/4 of an army. Like a standard game is 100 points, and I think I had 27 points, and I think Will had 28 points in his. So, but I chose Mercs because it'll allow me to play with other things. So
nice. Yeah. Bad. I'm looking at it. I'm just like the Axis has like what's kind of looks cool. It looks like it's 1/48 scale, so kind of some big boys, huh?
Yeah. So, and then there's like zombies and stuff, and like apes and gorillas that have been like, science has been done on them, and so now they're super soldiers, and it's pretty cool.
Oh no, super soldier zombies.
Yeah.
No.
But I know you're gonna play some apes.
But I will say that since getting into it, I've had a lot of communication with the major distributor for United States is the website Dust USA, and it is run by a husband and a wife team, and I've had a lot of communication with them. And of course I'm in their official server, and the husband is like always in it, posting and stuff, like the face to consumer, like it's incredible, like customer service and just the feeling of community. And I've been very impressed with first impressions all around, real solid. So
nice. Man, there's even guys with jetpacks. Come on, why you got to get me looking at other games?
Dan, this is what I do.
I know. He plays all the games, and he ropes you into a lot of them.
Yeah,
it's all right. You're gonna get me back into BattleTech, so we'll call it even. So
anyway, Cthulhu are pretty cool looking. Hey. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Speaking of new games, another one that I roped you into, Dan, is actually our main topic for the day, and so a brand new game was just released. It's a rule set from Adam Loper of Internet fame and Vince Venturella of Internet fame as well. And the name of the game is called Reign in Hell, the Demonic Skirmish Combat. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the game, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do with the game. Chad, you want to get us started?
Yeah, so I'm just going to read their little promotional thing that they have on the back of the rule book, because that's about the best place to start to kind of give you an idea for the game itself. So Hell is an actual place, and it's not what it used to be. Reign in Hell is the demonic skirmish style combat game. Is a fast, brutal, miniatures agnostic tabletop wargaming rule set that pits your hand-picked cabal of demons against your opponents to determine who gets to reshape the ruins of hell to fit their philosophy. Do you want to restore hell to its former glory, tear it all down and watch it burn, or perhaps try to head back to Earth for some payback? You can customize your cabal, use whatever demonic miniatures you like, and tell the stories of the battles through the in-depth campaign system. So the game itself is a small skirmish game. Your cabal usually tends to be about 10 miniatures that I believe includes your leader and your devout, which is your most fervent follower of your leader's philosophy. They believe wholeheartedly, whole being of the philosophy that you are pursuing. There are 6 different philosophies. We'll probably get into those a little bit later, that all kind of have their different angles of what they want. Some of them want to restore hell and the hierarchy that was there before, because they believe that that's the way that things should be. There are some that believe that the currency of souls is the only thing that matters. And then there are also some who just think that it needs to be ruined and sent into oblivion and cast into the void. Just a couple of different things. So it's a D6 and D12 based system. So you use D6s for a number of different things, like making your attack and your defense rolls. But you use D12s to roll your initiative, because it is an alternating activation system. So at the beginning of the round, every player takes 1d12 for each demon that's still alive in their cabal, and you roll them to figure out your initiative, starting with 12 and then going all the way down to 1. Going back and forth or alternating whoever it is that has the next one in the initiative. So we had heard about this. You can either purchase just the PDF from Drive-Thru RPG, or you can order the actual printed book. But yeah, it's a really interesting game. It's a pretty simple system. Reading through the rule book, everything has basically, is it 3 stats? You have your move, your life, and your combat stat. And then sometimes they have special abilities. Actually, I think every demon has some sort of special ability that's unique to them. Leaders, when you build your cabal, you get to pick from one of 3 different types of leaders that kind of helps you customize it. Each philosophy has a specific devout for it that have unique rules and abilities and so on. With the campaign play, you are able to upgrade your leader, your devout, and then the regular demons that you recruit to your cause as you collect souls by slaying other demons or slaying your own demons during the matches. There's 10 different scenarios. There are 3 scenarios that are specifically only for 2 players. There's one that is a scenario for 1 to 4, and then the other 6 are for 2 to 4. So there is actually lots of opportunity for multiplayer games.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I like about it is how inviting it is, and how all the different scenarios they've given us very, very different look at the game.
Yeah. There's also some very unique terrain features for the game, especially my primary background for miniatures games is War Machine and Hordes, where your terrain does kind of impede your movement, but it doesn't really do much more than that. Privateer Press has started introducing other things that can be potentially harmful to your to your models when they're on the table. But this one has a lot of that, actually. There's a lot of impassable terrain. There's going to be a lot more where we have to move around the battlefield rather than, simply ignore some of it.
Yeah, and the battlefield is 22 by 30 inch space is kind of what they're recommending. Yeah, I think that because there's a lot of other games that use that similar size, they wanted it to be accessible.
A lot of other games, quote unquote. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be easy to find pre-made mats at that size if you wanted to. But one of the things that's interesting about the rules, though, is that it allows you to actually, it's very flexible. It's like you can also just change your table size if you want. And and the same thing with base sizes of your demons. They have suggestions. You don't have to follow that suggestion per se.
Yeah, even the suggestions are a wide range. 30 to 60 millimeters, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, as long as it's not 150, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's quite a few different options. Let's see, the suggested for the lesser, greater, superior are 25, 32, or 40 millimeter bases. Your devout, I believe. Let me find the page.
My devout's on the biggest base.
Yeah, I'm not finding it here. I believe the devout is 32, 40, 50, or 60. And then I think the leader is 25, 32, 40, or 50.
Yeah.
So your devout can only ever be the biggest model, actually, which kind of makes sense a little bit. Yeah, it's very interesting. The other thing that's really cool is you get to use miniatures from anything. There's tons in the growing age of 3D printers. There are tons of great miniatures out there that are not meant for any specific game. Or, if you like a lot of the demons from another IP, and you already have them, then repurpose them, use them for something different that's a little bit faster, more interesting. Play something different.
Definitely, that's one of the big appeals. Is like maybe you already have some of this, already put together or painted or whatever. Like you said, 3D printing. I wouldn't print in my whole army. So
yeah,
but
I decided to go ahead and use some models that I already owned. That I just assembled for something else. So, but we can talk about that a little bit later.
Nice, yeah.
Well,
I'm going to go your route, Chad. I have a few Legion of Everblight models that I would love to see the table in, and they would be perfect for the philosophy that I chose. So I'm pretty excited. So
that works out pretty well. So I guess that's the first big thing. Is this is mini agnostic, right? I mean, that's neat on its own. We even have a lot of variation in their rule book. One of the pictures is actually of a 3D printed model. That is actually one I also printed up before knowing that it was in the rule book. I just happened to come across it. I was like, hey, I'm on that miniature right now.
Well, and the funny thing is, the miniature that you picked for your devout was actually one of the miniatures I recently saw looking through from that company. Actually, I was looking at their Kickstarter and a bunch of their different miniatures lines. And I saw that one and was very intrigued by that. But the other thing that I personally think is really cool to see a little bit of maybe collaboration or overlap is there's a couple of pictures of some miniatures done by Creature Caster, who have a lot of very fantastic demon models. That are model agnostic. You can use them for anything. Some of them are a little bit too big for this game, I think. You might be able to fit some of them onto like a 60 millimeter base, but they're going to be very, very big by comparison.
To
a lot of the other miniatures. Like they make great models, but they are a little bit tall sometimes.
Yeah.
So do we want to go through the different philosophies or?
Yeah. But before we get there, I wanted to make a comment about building your cabal. Because it does give you like 3 different kind of ways to play the game. One way is in the campaign mode, and then there's one-offs, and the way and the currency, or the way that the point totals, if you will, is based on souls. So like each demon has a soul value, right? You don't pay for your leader, you don't pay for your devout, but so for a campaign mode, you have when you first build your cabal, you have 100 souls to spend in hiring minions and or demons, and then you can only use lesser demons when you first build, and over the course of a campaign, those lesser demons can grow into bigger demons, superior demons, even. Hey, but yeah, and so that's something to think about too when you're building your cabal, thinking about how each minion's going to grow.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
So once you determine your game type, the next step is actually to select your philosophy. So now let's talk about philosophies. Yeah.
So the very first one that's in here are the Lords of Hell. The devout demon is called the Lord of the Pit. It also gives you common iconography and then a general beliefs, and then it also talks about the leader bonus that you get and special abilities. So, and then it also gives a quote that is kind of the general idea of the philosophy itself. So for the Lords of Hell, the quote is, "It is better to reign in hell than, well, it's better than every other thing, frankly." So these are the demons that want to see hell return to its previous glory. They believe that the hierarchy that was there was right, and it should be restored. And they're the ones to do it because the previous demons that were in charge obviously didn't do a very good job.
Yeah. I also see them as the Gen Xer, that's sitting in the back of the TriMet bus, with his headphones on because they didn't have earbuds back then, and they don't care if they miss their stop or whatever. They're just like, I'm going to ride this thing to the end. Not that I've ever done that. No.
Yeah.
The next one in here are the Earthbound. Their devout demon is the Succubus. These ones, their quote is, "Hell is over. We must get to where the real souls are, back to Earth." So these are the ones that are leaving hell in its ruins. They have no idea. They have no desire to try and rebuild it. And instead, what they're going to do is go to Earth, where all the souls and all the power is, in order to rebuild hell or establish power there. The next one are the Demented. Their devout is the Madness Demon. Their quote is, "Those who seek after order in this madness are truly the insane." So these are the ones. What is there? So, yes. So these are the ones that basically you have to succumb to the madness, trying to build a hierarchy or establish some sort of system in hell is folly, and they think that hell should remain in the ruins that it already is, and you should just continue to exist, basically, as a crazy demon.
Yeah, kind of the opposite of the Lords of Hell.
Yeah. The next one are the Brokers. Their devout demon is the Tallyman. Their quote is, "Everything is for sale if you have the souls to pay." So they're the ones that believe that the real power is actually in the souls of others, collecting as many as you can, because it doesn't matter how big or bad of a demon you are. If you have enough money, you can hire enough other demons to overthrow that big bad demon. They believe that that's the whole purpose of hell, is to get as much souls as you can and just rule by that law, basically.
Yeah.
The next one are the Judges. Their devout demon is the Executioner. The quote is, "How can anyone else hope to win when they don't even know the rules?" So they believe that the hell should have rules. There needs to be a hierarchy in place, but they want to establish their own hierarchy where they're enforcing the rules and they're the ones in power. So kind of similar to the Lords of Hell, except they want to write the new book by their own rules and not by the rules that were previously there.
Well, they also want to be behind the scenes puppeteer. We'll control you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the last philosophy are the Empty. The devout demon is called the Void Demon. The quote is, Hell has no more purpose. There is only one sensible outcome, oblivion." So these are the ones that want to just tear everything down to its very base elements and just toss hell into the void, because there's no point. Hell has fallen. There's no point in trying to rebuild it. It's better to just succumb to the oblivion and to nothingness.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe these are the Gen Xers. They're the ones that
or maybe these are, or maybe they're the Gen Zers. So like, there's no point in trying to do anything. So why even bother?
There you go. Yeah,
well, we're all doomed anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at those, they're just it doesn't sound like very many, but just inside themselves, they feel like they have enough depth between the leader bonuses and the special abilities, and the devout being tied to it really gives you options already of your type of gameplay, and they all have some very distinct differences to them, which I think make them all viable and all fun in their own ways. And it just really kind of comes down to how you want to do it. So
I like how they give common iconography as well. And so like, so you can develop paint schemes and, you know, and different things like that to really like individualize your cabal.
Yeah, and for the campaign that we're going to be doing, we all decided to play something different from each other. Dan and Jeremiah kind of had in their heads pretty much exactly what they wanted. I picked last because honestly, most of these look really interesting. When you go back and forth between looking at what the leader benefits are and what the special abilities that your devout demon get, there were a lot of them that I could see myself playing in very interesting ways. So, Jeremiah, why don't you start and tell us which ones which philosophy you decided to follow?
I decided to go with the first one, the Lords of Hell. And I mostly chose that because I have the perfect model that I want to represent my leader, and I have the perfect model to represent my devout. And so that's why I chose that. The devout is a flyer, and so the Lord of the Pit. And so my devout has big giant wings, and it makes me happy. But
let me guess, Thagrosh and an Angelius.
What?
Oh, no way.
Bags is in there, that's for sure.
Oh, you got one.
All right, Dan, which one finally called to you?
Well, I was going through it and I decided, well, I am the law. So I went with judges. And again, just they seemed kind of fun, a little bit, you know, focusing on the rules, like enforcing the rules, breaking the rules are some of their abilities, just to mess with things. Ultimately, rules are in place for a reason. So I'm going to enforce them. And then, and the devout of the executioner, you know, he's a big burly beast. And overall, like some of the other ones seem to have a little bit more trickery to them. And I was like, just put hammer to face. Like, sounds pretty decent for starting out a game. So it's kind of one of the reasons went with them. I didn't have any particular models necessarily in mind. I went through and I found some kind of after the fact, working more with the keys and hammers than or keys and scrolls more than hammers, but I think they'll still look fun and good.
Well, Dan, I'm not going to play by your rules because I chose the Earthbound. So I decided that hell was in ruins. Screw it. We're not going to rebuild it. We're going to go to hell. We're going to go to Earth, and we're going to establish our hierarchy there. And I decided that I was going to use my Daughters of Cain miniatures because there's a couple of really cool ones. I thought it would also work well, considering that the devout demon is the succubus. I picked the Cainite Shadowstalker leader model, which is kind of this very cool, shrouded in shadow character that's like floating in the air. And they've actually got like a mirror mask over their face, which I thought was kind of fitting for the succubus is going to oh my gosh. I'm totally blanking on the word then. Totally blanking on the word that I'm thinking of. Oh my gosh. Seduce you.
I mean, podcast today.
Yeah. The succubus is going to seduce and by taking the appearance of whatever it is that you're gonna fall prey to. And I found some other really cool, interesting models in the Daughters of Cain for a lot of the other minis to use in the Cabal. So
nice.
Excellent.
they're going to be a little more tricky, which is more up my alley.
Yeah.
No, they're very tempting, and they're adding to the movability is kind of a nice one too. Increasing movability by 1 makes you a lot more mobile than some of my executioner is slow. He is.
Yeah. I'm going to be running circles around you, buddy.
Yeah, well, that succubus is quick. But the Lord of the Pit rules over that.
That's right. That's right.
So when you once you decide your cabal, you start with building your leader. As I said before, there are 3 different archetypes basically that you can do. There's the warrior, the schemer, and the zealot. So each one of them has their own unique move, life, and combat stats depending on the characteristics, and then they all have their own unique abilities that go along with it.
I just want to say in the stats, what I really liked, what they kind of did is they really centered on depending on what you're going for, right? You have like your warrior is your slowest, but has the most life and combat value. And then you kind of have a middle ground, and then you have another one that's like totally slanted towards move, but has lower life and combat. So,
yeah, I feel like the choices are very meaningful.
Yeah, agreed.
And then of course you get a benefit or whatever for whichever one you choose.
Exactly.
So you get a special ability anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. What is it? The warrior gets combat master. So whenever they make a combat roll, attack or defense, you can choose to change any one of the values of the combat dice to a 6 automatically, which is very strong.
Nice.
The schemer has a special ability called Master Manipulator. So basically what it does is when they activate, you can choose to spend one of your unspent activation dice and jump ahead in the initiative order, basically. And you get to activate another model immediately. The other thing that the schemer... the other thing that the schemer has is when an enemy demon would attack the schemer may choose to remove an unspent activation die. If they do so, they may move. The attacker may still choose to attack any other target that's in range, but it gives you a quick escape to help you survive those combat fights if you're fighting against, something like the Lord of the Pit that's very fast, that has a good combat stat. The schemer doesn't have a whole lot of life, doesn't have a very good combat stat, but they're hard to pin down.
Yeah, you sacrifice the activation of one of your other demons to save your leader.
Yeah. And then the last one is the... Oh, sorry, Jeremiah, you were going to say something?
No, go ahead and read the last one.
So the last one is the Zealot has the special ability Frenzy, which is whenever the Zealot makes a combat attack roll, they increase their combat score by 2. If they're attacking an enemy leader, they increase their combat score by 3. So these are the leaders that are hunting after other leaders and trying to take them down.
Yeah. I think we did a pretty good introduction to the game and the system, and then the first few steps of creating the cabal. I'm personally not too keen about going any further because I don't want to reveal the choices that I'm making yet. And so if that's
over there,
if that's okay with you guys, it's like total secret. But
that's fine. I want to keep my secrets safe too.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to putting on the table and presenting them to you for the first time and being like this is my cabal and come at me. So
no, it's good. Well, like I said, I mean the rest of the creation kind of goes again more customization of picking up a relic and an essence and then filling out the ball with your demons of your souls.
And there are a lot of choices.
Exactly.
There's a lot of relics to choose from. I mean, it's remarkable. This rule book is only 62 pages, and they're able to, one, make it very clear how to play the game and how to build your cabal, but two, also give you a lot of options.
Yeah.
So I'm very impressed.
It seems very simple, but like honestly, when I was picking, like I said, all 6 of the different philosophies seemed interesting to me. The only ones that I think maybe there was only like one of them that didn't seem quite as interesting, but most of them seemed really interesting, and I was really actually torn between two different ones before I made my final choice. So it is very simple, but there's some good depth to this. And you could build your cabal. Like I could build my cabal completely different, and still stay in the same philosophy. I could pick different lesser demons to start with. It goes slightly, a different direction, like either really aggressive or super mobile, or try and do something that's really resilient too.
Well, and like a different kind of leader. There's 3 different kinds, right?
Yep.
Even just a a philosophy and leader type, there's 18 different options.
Yep.
That alone right there,
So like I said, you can skew very heavily one way, like you said, or you can try to do a balanced middle ground type one.
Yeah. It's good.
So it's kind of great just in that, and you're only keeping, again, like 3 main stats in mind of what you're trying to do. So
this is literally a 1-sheet game. Like you can type up one sheet, or I think there's actually a character or a cabal list that you can download from their website or whatever.
I think so.
And then you can literally just bring your dice and your models to the table, and this is making me happy. This feels very, very much in the vein of like Frostgrave for me in terms of like simplicity and easy to grasp rules.
Right.
So,
did we touch on about how combat or defense? I don't think we talked.
We did not. You want to go over that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? You have your combat value, say it's a 6, you roll 6d6, unless, again, there's some other like charges and some other type of things you can do or focus combat to increase that. But let's just say on general, you roll 6 dice. You compare your combat to the enemy's combat value, look it up on a table. You're either looking at 2s, 3s, or 4-ups. So let's say you guys have, you're fighting a 6 combat as well. So you're 6 versus their 6. You're hitting on 3 up, right? So what is that? 66% of your hits should hit. And then they roll their 6 combat dice, and for every 6, they get a defend, why turning that warrior dice 1 defense to a 6 is kind of important, right?
Yeah.
And so let's say you had 4 hits and they roll 1 6, then you do 3 damage to their life. Boom, combat's good, unless there's some other special abilities that tie to things, right?
Yeah.
But it's pretty simple, easy math, right? I'm just like, I got 4 hits, you roll yours, you got 2 defenses, cool.
Yeah. So it's 2 things. It's a dice pool. You each you're rolling the number of dice equal to your stat, and it's an opposed roll.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna roll 6, you're gonna roll 6, and then I have to have 2 or more to be able to do anything to you. And hits, that is.
And that's reminiscence of a lot of other games out there. Right? Yeah.
But I love opposed rolls because that means everyone's involved.
Yeah.
And I love that it has single roll resolution. Once we both rolled, we know exactly what's going to happen. So it's cool. It makes for fast gameplay. Yeah. Well, good. Well, I think that was a good introduction. So let's ask the question. What are we going to do with it? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, let's think about that.
I think we are going to have a campaign. We're going to have a Reign in Hell campaign. And what we want to do is we want to invite any of our listeners who are in our area to participate in the campaign. Or if you're a listener in another area and you want to pull together 2, 3, 4 other people to play, what we want to do is want to figure out who's all interested in playing in the campaign. And then once we figure out who's all interested, then we're going to make pods. And so we're going to have different pods. And all we're asking you to do is for you and your pod to play 4 games together. And so we'll give you some lead time. But over the course of the campaign, you're going to play 4 games together. And then we'll see who how each pod shakes out, and maybe we'll get some prize support at the end for the winner of their pod. But that's what we're doing today. We're announcing the Rain and Hell campaign.
Yep. So if anyone else is out there, just reach out to one of the three of us via Discord or Facebook, and let us know that you're interested. As we said, we're just asking you to commit to 4 games. The PDF is pretty inexpensive. It's $10 for the PDF. It's $15 for a printed copy. And that's everything that you need. Just that and some other miniatures, and you can use the miniatures that you already have. You don't have to go out of your way and spend a bunch of money buying some cool minis or something like that. Just use what you got, and then I'm sure everyone has dice.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us probably also play RPGs. I am actually short some D12s, so I need to go buy a couple more D12s. But
wow, you just lost some street cred there.
Oh, funny, we should talk. I just opened up a pound of dice, and I have a video on that. I'll show you my pound of dice video later. But yeah, and there was a good number of D12s, somewhat anticipating this campaign coming up. So,
oh wow,
yeah, I've got a pound of dice sitting in apothecary on my bookshelf, so I have plenty of dice to choose from as well. So
I've got lots of D6s. I've got tons of D6s laying around. I need 3 more D12s because I don't use them that much.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a cleric player. I use D8s.
Oh, D8s, yeah. You just need about 10 D6s and then 1 D12 for every model you have in your cabal. So that's it. So at the most you'll need 10 if you have all 10.
Well, you'll probably need more than 10 D6s just because you use them for your combat stats, but then also every time you slay a demon, if there's a demon within 3 inches, you can harvest the souls, and you can use those to change your rolls during the game.
That's right.
Or change your opponents. So having some extra D6s is definitely a good thing.
Yeah. Well, here's the pitch. If you want to join us in the Rain and Hell campaign, please let us know. We're thinking of starting the first pods at the beginning of September, and giving us several weeks to complete the 4 games. And as Chad said, there are 2 ways to get a hold of us that are excellent. One of them is directly through our Facebook page, and the other is through our Discord server. And we're looking forward to getting this going, and we're excited to be able to talk about our games and talk about how much we enjoy or not enjoy Rain and Hell. I mean, honestly, that's a possibility too, but all signs are pointing to enjoyment for me. So, yeah. Why don't we shift over to confession time and talk about some of the purchases that we've made recently, or Kickstarters that we've backed?
Do we have to?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, mine are pretty easy. Yeah, I didn't spend too much. I backed a couple RPG Kickstarters. One is a very small guy that was $1 for micro dungeons. Adds 10 or so just small little dungeons that you can just tack on or run as their own single thing. Not that they're doing any RPGing recently, but it's a small thing just to kind of have on hand or support somebody. Another one that I did was about $25, was Dungeons of Drakkenheim. This was by Dungeon Dudes. Actually ended up making like 1.2 million with 13,000 backers. So not very opposite of a small one.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it's pretty big. It's a full on like campaign story, that you can run for, depending on how often your group gets together, until level 1 to 13 for level. So figure, sometime when you ever get together and play some RPGs or whatever, have plenty in reserve for some fun campaigns. Then the other thing I bought in kind of relation to a little bit of D&D was the MTG Magic the Gathering Forgotten Realms crossover. So went into the store, got the pre-release pack or whatever, and thought those cards are kind of cool. Ended up picking up like a starter box thing or something. as well. So got a good amount of kind of cards for that, which they're neat looking. I did do a little unboxing video of that, which I should have up this week as well. So
nice.
But that's neat.
Next. Yeah. I'll go next. Well, one of the things I purchased was that mercenary starter for Dust 47. And that was an excellent purchase for me. That was great. I bought my first Mobile Suit Gundam model. So, and I say first because there will probably be more in the future.
I dragged into Gundam,
of course.
They're kind of amazing, and I've always wanted one, and I found one at a very reasonable price. So it was one of their introductory kits that doesn't require glue for assembly. So I figured if I'm going to put one together, this would be a great intro to the hobby, because I know that some of their kits can get quite complicated. But I recently picked up some secondhand Signar, kind of fleshing out the Storm Division theme and heavy metal theme. Also trying to get everything I need from the Signar side for the Strange Bedfellows theme. So I'm trying to finish that out. I'm counting that as part of my Convergence growth, if you will, and there's some quick things I need to for that, but it's okay. It's a slow accumulation. It's not, I have stuff to play, but I also want to grow into be able to have, play other options. So I did pick up another expansion for the D&D second edition Birthright setting. So one of our listeners, Hans, and I have been talking about just role playing again and world building, and he's really inspired me to revisit some of the older things that I really liked about second edition Dungeons and Dragons. And so right now I'm just sort of in the preliminary stage. I don't really have anything together for a campaign yet, but I have really good inspirational reading material. This is a big one for me. We have terms of purchases because we haven't recorded in a while. But I also got the Kill Team Kill Zone Sector Mechanicus terrain. Now, you're not going to believe this. So I got an email from PayPal saying, hey, here's, $5 or $10 or something towards Groupon. If you buy something on Groupon using your PayPal account, here's instant cash. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, let's play around with that. Let's see what's there. And I've never been on Groupon before. And so I was just like looking around, and there's all these things that I was having like decision fatigue. And then this light bulb went off in my brain, and it was just like, type in Warhammer. And so I typed in Warhammer, and there was all this Warhammer stuff, including that terrain kit. And it was already marked down from its full price because it's, it was a Groupon deal. And then I used my PayPal and got the instant cash. And I did it not believing. I didn't think it was real. I was like, this can't be real. Like, Groupon is for like experiences or something, or going out to dinner. No, it's real. It arrived. And so so now I have some 40K terrain to assemble and paint, but or terrain to use for 40K to assemble and paint. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then the only other thing is a fair amount of Flesh and Blood stuff. So we it's Oz's like favorite game in the world right now, and so we're just, and it was his birthday recently, so it's like we're gonna invest a little bit. So we had bought a booster box of the most recent Unlimited set that just came out, Crucible War, I think, and I went into the store to pick it up, and I saw all this other product on the shelf, and the dude was like, yeah, they're on sale right now. And so I'm looking at the Welcome to Wraith set box, booster box, on sale. And so I was like, all right, I'll take one of those too. And so, for the first time ever in my life, we sat down and we opened back to back 2 booster boxes of cards.
Jeez.
And which is something I've never done before in any game I've played. I've never really bought booster boxes before. I've always nickel and dimed myself, in those games. But we got some good cards, and I can now, I think, satisfactorily make a Guardian deck. So I'm going to be looking forward to doing that. But I think it's everything. It's like my full confession right there, I think. Like I said, it was a big one because we didn't really talk about this. We haven't talked about this for a while. So this is like several weeks worth of purchases. So
yeah, all right. It's all right. No judgment here.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten very much stuff recently myself. I did pick up one of the Blitz decks for Flesh and Blood. Both of my roommates have started really getting into the game, and so I finally bought one of the starters and got a demo game with it. I picked up Prism, which is the light illusionist. Not knowing about the different styles for the different heroes and stuff of the game, but I thought it looked cool. I decided to grab that one. It's a very fun and very interesting game. I'm looking forward to playing some more. I did, however, while I was scrolling through Facebook the other day, discover a different miniatures game. It's been around a little bit, and they just finished up another Kickstarter. It's a minis game called Moonstone, which I never heard of before. And so it's they produce their own miniatures. They also have STL files for you to be able to 3D print them yourself, I believe. But it's a fantastical, whimsical minis game where you generally have about 3 to 6 miniatures. There's goblins and fairies and humans and gnomes. It's a D4 based bluffing system, so it's very interesting. I may get one of those starters down the road, but I haven't bought any of it yet. But it looks kind of interesting. The miniatures look really cool, very unique compared to some other minis games. And I mean, if it's I think the 2-player starter is pretty reasonable, and it's a 2-player starter with 2 different factions. So I may end up picking that up later and finding somebody else to learn the game with. Jeremiah.
That the game has been on my list for a few years, and
oh really? I didn't know it was that old.
And it has the ability to play 2 to 4 players too. So
yeah.
So it's not just it's a great community that's built around that game. I haven't purchased it because I didn't know who I knew would be interested, but apparently you might be. So darn it, Chad.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, if we split the starter, the 2-player starter, that makes it pretty reasonable because I think I want to say it's like around. I don't think it's anything more than 70. I think it's like around 50 or 60, which is pretty reasonable for a 2-player starter.
Oh yeah. It's a small model count game too.
Yeah,
but so pretty and a great place to really like play with a color scheme for your models.
Oh absolutely.
Like bright and different kind of and things that you wouldn't normally pair together might go together really well for it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's all for me for my confession. I haven't. I did some bigger purchases a while back with getting a bunch of Archons and some other stuff, and been trying to conserve some of my money for some of the other stuff that I know is coming a little bit later this year.
Nice. Yeah. But what are you guys working on your hobby desk? What are you building? What are you painting?
Oh, I've got right now also printed and primed the Rain and Hell models. Of course, got to get those going. Get some pretty models on there. And then working on finishing up, well, not finishing, really just started painting a little Mario chess set. So I printed up for my son. So I got the pawns painted, which were some toads and some Goombas.
Nice.
So working away. So I've got half of it done technically, but those were easy paints. So
nice. Yeah, I been doing some repairs on some models, and I have a plan for. I have one model that's in disarray, pretty good, but I think I have a good plan for it. I can't find my bits, and so so I have to go back to the garage and figure out where those are to do it. But the last couple paint parties, I haven't painted. I've just been sitting there talking to people, and I realized I kind of wasted my time. I should have got the paint out and done something. But I was late last week and didn't know how long I would stay, and ended up staying for a long time. Well, certainly long enough to paint something. So, yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed yourself, it wasn't a waste of time. Just wasn't the optimal use.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. How about you, Chad?
I don't have anything specific. Well, I mean, right now I had some minis for some War Machine minis that I was going to try and work on today. I'll probably start working on them a little bit later this evening, but nothing else specifically that I'm working on. It's work has been kind of stressful and hectic, and I haven't had a lot of motivation to do a lot of hobby work. So I'm just kind of trying to work on whatever it is that might seem interesting at the time when I sit down and work on something. But I need to do a bunch of basing for some stuff that's been sitting done in my tray, so then I can fill that up with some other stuff that is going to get worked on, get painted. So once I get them based, they're done, and then I can just put them away.
Nice. Yep.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. It's going to be nice to get some projects, get some process done. This month is, I should tell our listeners, is Backlogist month. This is a event that we're doing for the month of August in our Facebook page and our Discord server. And this was inspired by a suggestion from Curtis. And so it's backlog and August combined into one word, Backlogist. And so what we're asking everyone to do is to begin working on their backlog, and at the end of the month, or actually any point during the month, post a picture of a finished, completed model that you've painted. And if you do that, then you'll be entered into a drawing, and I'll do a drawing at the end of the month, and we'll have prizes that we'll give out to our listeners. So Backlogist is happening right now.
Get to working on it.
That's right. Yeah. Good episode. Good things. I'm excited about our upcoming Rain and Hail campaign. I'm excited about Backlogist. And so those are a bunch of ways for you guys, for all of our listeners, to participate in what's going on in the Spellstorm community. Other things that are happening is every Thursday night we have a paint party. It happens on our Discord server. And as I confessed a couple minutes ago, you apparently don't have to paint to participate, but but you're highly encouraged to. That way you can work on your backlog, certainly in the month of August. And then another thing that's happening is we have a book club, and that takes place on the last Sunday of the month. And so we declare what book we're reading, and then for the month, and then at the end of the month we all come together and we talk. So for this month we're going to be doing 9 Princes in Amber by Roger Zelazny. You have to forgive me for butchering the last name there. And so if you want to participate in that, hop into our Discord server and then sign up to have the book club tag, so that you don't miss any of the details or any of the updates. Let's see. Yeah, we got a lot of good things happening right now, guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks for listening to the show. We've mentioned our Discord a bunch of times. If you're not on it, you're missing out on a lot. So So click the link in the show notes. You can also find us at spellstormminiatures.com. There's a bunch of links in there too. And then we have also some really great supporters. We've got some affiliate links, and that's a great way to support what's going on too. One that we have going on that's awesome is Noble Knight. They have just about everything. Who knew? But also a brand new affiliate, which I'm excited to announce, and that's with Death Ray Designs. So if anybody's familiar with them, they do the base inserts that a lot of us use for our models. They also have a number of other things like even STL files, but like some terrain things and some movement measuring sticks and things like that. And something of interest to you, Dan, tiny little mechs, tiny little infantry, tiny little tanks. It's terrible, Dan. But actually, it also just reminds me, I actually did just recently purchase some base inserts from them, and they arrived in the mail yesterday. So we'll get the link out for that as well in the future. And it doesn't cost you anything. It's just you buy from them like you normally would, but it supports the show. So with that being said, I guess, thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.